Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another installment, another episode, another thing that we're doing. I have to assume that you can hear that. We have decided to close out 2023. This is the final day of 2023. We have tried to... It's New Year's Eve, everybody. I like to put a little temporality on the video. That way, if somebody watches it, they can go, oh, all right, I know when this happened. So, on the final day of 2023, it is raining, and we would not be the royal we of the Canyon if we didn't take this opportunity to start yet another It Came From the Workbench series, because it is raining, and it's either that or do rig maintenance. So, instead I hit the pegboards, I hit the bins, and I said, do I have enough? Do I have enough for the Evil Twin? It came from the Workbench 30, the Evil Twin. This is the same J-Concepts body that is on Rusty. So we're building, this was in a poll long ago, I don't know, September, maybe? Get out of frame. Get out of frame. That's maintenance that I should be doing. That's why those tires are sitting over there. So, we need to go along the same sort of a basis. Rusty is a TRX-4 that is fitted with Vanquish F10s. And he was formerly fitted with AR-45s. These are the AR-45s from the optional. You could get that. Horizon did that thing for a short while, probably about a year ago, where you could get a set of AR-45 straights if you wanted to convert your 10-3 to straight axle. That is how far these date back. They have no modifications to them. We haven't changed the knuckles. We can now, of course, here in the future, we can get all the 10 Pro stuff fits the 45 straights. So we can get any manner of weights. We can get diff covers. We can get all the little fancy bits and bobs. We will see if we need any of that. We will also see, like, the fitment on this stuff should be really close. This is the Endura chassis for TRX-4, so it's designed as a straight bolt over for your TRX-4. I've got 2 sets of TRX-4 axles, but this was kind of the goal, right? I could just do it as a TRX-4, but when we tear into this, you'll see that they have a pretty clever motor mount operation, and I have not checked it or tested it to see, like, can I run a bigger spur on it? I don't know. So, we've got a TRX-4 gearbox assembled and just dug through the bins, got the gears, put it together. It is a sport box, so no 2-speed, though I do have somewhere, and I can't find it, I have an Endura bracket. I've got micro servos. I could convert this box to 2-speed, but I really, really don't know where that bracket is. And I think I took it out of the package, so it's just a tiny little bracket that I can't find. 60 kg, which, I don't know, came out of somebody. I thought for a moment I also have the new 58 kg receiver powered. And if I were going to put a Rhino in this, I would do that. But I think for purposes of this, because we are running a gearbox that is specifically designed for portals, with axles that notably do not have portals, we're just going to go Fusion 1200. It is the last of my surplus Fusion 1200s. At one point I had 4 homeless Fusions because I kept trading stuff out on the Plofferings, and this is the last one. This one actually came out of someone. Somebody was running the Fusion 1200, and I think got an Outrunner in its place. I think I put a Rhino V40 in there. We've got a receiver for him. For shocks, we are going to go with these freshly rebuilt and homeless GTS. Fitting. I already have the cups. Thanks to the kindness of a channel follower, subscriber, all around fantastic human being, Last Creations. They sent me a selection of springs so that I don't have to continually buy Element spring packs in order just to get, like, I basically just need the whites and the greens, and then the other ones, where's the drawer? and then I end up with a drawer of springs that are all far too heavy of a rate to use on anything. So I think we've got motor and ESC, and we've got a servo, and we've got a receiver, and we've got axles and a gearbox and shocks and a body, wheels and tires. Who knows? What I should do is I should finally remember to go on Amazon, order some 1.55 bead locks, so I can try it. We can double down. We can test these, and I mean they'd be a pretty much perfect fit on here. But if he goes class 2s, we have got plenty. Would I love to just like slap on the squid insert fitted deep woods or something? Sure. We have any number of tires: canyon, trails, landmines, tusks, hunks, swamp claws. Are they still mounted? Yeah. Could mount up some swamp claws. It could be anything. It's not as if I'm driving it today, so there's not too much worry about any of that. I was like, man, do I think that I have enough unused links in the bins and boxes? And then I took a closer look at the plastic, and I was like, oh, it's not even a problem. This is why the little guy can't compete, because they will give you carbon fiber chassis rails like it's nothing. Like carbon fiber doesn't mean anything. And they will give you, here are the chassis spacers, there is the battery tray, here are the body mounts, here are the sides, all the links. What I don't use are the ends. Don't use these ends. We'll show you why. Let me snip one out here. Those who have know why you don't use these. Order yourself, if you're going to get a chassis like this, order yourself a bag of the tracks. I think there's a bag that's like the TRX4 ends. It's like all the ends for a TRX4. Because what I want you to draw attention to is the amount of plastic out here. It's not as bad as some, but this is a TRX4 rod end. Like, it's 50% bigger. It's bigger to the point. The amount of material around here is so much more than on other rod ends. Like, Traxxas rod ends will bind up in some skids and mounts because they are so much bigger. Then we measure to make sure that these are some sort of reasonable amount. Hey, 7mm, 5.8 or 5.7, 5.7. And what does that mean? That means that the hollow balls are always more expensive than the rod ends. So you just pop those rod ends into your Traxxas ends, and you are good to go. High clearance links with it. Yes, front and rear high clearance links. And then the final bag, there's the Panhard mount. It does this weird little lock nut retained transverse mounting. It's a strange little thing. And then we've got the very, to me, clever motor mount. So the chassis, here's the center chassis, and it is not here for weight reduction. It's a big plank of aluminum. 3 holes in the front, because that's how they do the motor mount, which is super clever. I got to give them credit for that. It basically turns it into it's the same sort of FMM operation that we have for a TRX4 box, because the gearbox just bolts down right like that. It is genuinely clever, and I appreciate this design. They include a bunch of hardware. The whole chassis kit is about $70. I think it's $69.99. And I don't want to sound like I've hopped the Injora bandwagon fully. What are we looking at? Graded 12.9s. We got graded hardware, so we don't even have to throw the screws away, which is very nice. The way this thing fits is something like, That is a something to take into consideration. There are no instructions. There's nothing like that. You are on your own to figure it out. And I can't remember if the panhard bar goes on from the top or the bottom. I just know that the fitment is extraordinarily tight. And I am messing this thing up. There it is. There it is. So the first time I saw one of these panhard mounts, I was like, oh wait, what are we doing now? It would have been nice if they'd made the cutout in the carbon tighter so that it would retain the nut, but it doesn't. The nut will just free spin in there. As you can see, there's light all the way around. So what you got, and then if you've got an open end wrench, I've lost my open end wrench. Stahlwheel! Boss, where are you? We're gonna have to have a stand-in for Stahlwheel because what did I do? Okay, so if you try to get a wrench over there, it doesn't reach. So I have to grab that nut with a pair of needle nose pliers. I feel like it's a little bit of an oversight. But hey, we're also talking about a kit that didn't come with instructions. So we can't protest it too much. Now, what I have never done, I've built one of these chassis previously, and I just kind of figured it out together. What I have yet to figure out, what has not figured itself out for me, is how you mount the servo. I will get into the TRX bin and I will get a servo mount, but there's a hole, so I don't know how I mount the steering servo in this. Nor do I see. Okay, body mounts. That's definitely a battery tray, and then these are just standoffs. So I'm assuming that we are supposed to use the stock servo mounting piece from a TRX4, but I don't know how to mount that. So what I attempted to do was approach this methodically. I was like, there's clearly no provision for mounting a servo. I could drill holes, or I could think, okay, so I left my main card on the desk and I went to the internet and I attempted to try to find some sort of manual instructions, and I could not. Just some complaints about how there's no front upper link, which I think is true. But there might be. There's plenty of links in here. I mean, we'll see. We'll find that out when we get to it. But for servo mounting, I was like, what if they're thinking the front bracket with the servo mount on it? And I was like, that's definitely the easiest, because if you mount the servo flipped around on a TRX4, especially when you change the servo to a servo that has a higher head, you'll have, which is more distance between the flange and the top. Every servo is different depending on the size of the gear case in there, what kind of gears we're running, how much torque are we making. So if we just do that, it's gonna eliminate some fitment issues. I then went about sourcing screws to mount the motor, and immediately went to try to find the shortest ones I could. Apparently not recollecting from just a few moments ago that the motor mount is 4mm carbon fiber. Also, I want to say that this was clearly designed for a TRX4 Sport, because that is a 45-tooth spur, and you can see that motor mounting screw, it's pretty much behind it, and the motor is almost all the way up. So they're not thinking about straight axles, they're thinking about portals, which you would just run a 39 and like a 9 or a 10-tooth pinion, and then you'd be set. You actually might be, on the 1200, you'd be too slow. But we've got to try to motor down and gear down to try to accommodate for the fact that the only gear reduction we're getting out of this axle is the 3.75 to 1 in there. Whereas a Traxxas portal would be what? It's around the same 3.75, 3.6, something like that in there. But then you have 2.36 at the portal. So a a Traxxas axle has 3 times the gear reduction of this, roughly. So we have to make up for that here. They didn't really, like, they had an opportunity. I'm understanding that they went full LCG, and I never even noticed there is a little kick on the skid. The skid has a little downward angle. It's very flat. I think there's still quite a bit to get caught on stuff, but I mean, I appreciate it. I also located in the bins a rear bumper mount. I don't know if it's going to be, which direction it's going to need to be mounted, or if we're just going to run a, like, see, this has the offset holes for the bumper, and a front mount just has them in line with the chassis. I don't know what we'll need for the back. We'll get to that when we get to it. But this is an instance of put the motor in before you put the plate on. Or also, I'm still considering pulling the motor mount off, countersinking these and using flatheads just for the cosmetics of it. They got the motor pretty low. I think it's probably in line with where it sits in a TRX4 by stock, but perhaps a little bit lower, because that looks like it's well down below. I don't know. We will find out if there should be no clearance issues, because we're well high up above the shaft. It's just that, okay. Directly from Injora, $61.99. I was on the website, but it's not exactly plug and play, because if you have a stock TRX4 Sport or other sort of TRX4, like this is, like I said, clearly designed for a sport, though I don't know what this part is. The holes do line up right there, but I don't know what this could even be, and I can't be faulted for not reading the manual. There doesn't appear to be instructions. And then I was looking at this, and I was like, oh, nope, that is those 2 holes right there. So they want your battery up high in amidships, whereas I will just, I mean, obviously the battery is going to go right there, because we don't have a speed control to worry about. And then the receiver will go, nope, maybe the battery will go over here. I might do it on the scale. I might get it put together, and then we'll decide what side the battery is going to go on based on what the weight distribution looks like on the scale. This is not an optimal solution, putting brass up there. It's high. I generally try to avoid chassis brass, but I think that in the long run, this is going to simplify things for us a bit, because then it just allows us to mount the servo right there. The servo doesn't even come up higher than the shock towers, so there shouldn't be a bumper clearance issue. I feel like with this, I'm tapping on the body over here, I'm feeling like with that body, no matter what, we are going to end up either chopping the fenders or just mounting the body a little higher to clear whatever tire we go with, unless we opt for another set of Class 1s or something. Class 1s would be the way to go. I don't have them on hand, but like Class 1 Tusks would be a nice choice, as Rusty himself is on Bounty Hunters. So we would get another, we'd get a little Class 1 combat there. And then, I mean, realistically, I can just bolt the other side. I don't know what these slots are for, because they line right up with where the motor mount bracket is. I don't know what those are for. I like that the rails are cloned. I mean, obviously, it's just one rail twice. But, no, I wouldn't help you. I was going to say if you had a Yoda axle with the pumpkin on the other side, but that's definitely not going to help you. This was made for... We know Injora made this, but at the same time, there's a real Traxxas feel to it, because it definitely seems to me like the parts are designed to fit one thing and one way, and I just wish that little piece right there under the servo wire, I really want to know what it is. I want to know what it is, and I don't know what it is. So let's get this thing bolted together. This is one of those. It is coming from the workbench. We are indeed, right now, before your very eyes, building it here on the workbench as the rain continues to trickle away outside. But this is This is trending more towards the realm of assembly than it is build. I mean, let's be honest. I'm going to have to sort some stuff, and I'm probably going to have to do some link fiddling. But I'm more assembling than I am building. We're going to get to some problems, I'm sure. But the fitment of the actual parts, like the gearbox, perfect. Absolutely no drama. All the hole spacings are correct. All of the stuff that you just want to be taken as givens, like, oh, this should just tighten right on. It does. And we're already there. Wow, that skid is... I don't think I had realized how skid forward that is. That is quite skid forward. One thing that the internet did help me with is that I noticed there's quite a lot of links in here. Let's just start cutting plastic. We've got those, and we've got these. And when I saw this 8, right? So we've got this 4 and this 4. I was like, oh, it's front and rear. Well, no, that skid is way too short, and these don't mount the way a TRX4 mounts them. You will note that the front lowers mount to right here, and then the front upper mounts right here. So this would be way too long, like that, because these are links. They give you the link set for both 313 and 324. I think that's what it said. I still have the tab open. Yeah, 324. All right. So it's late in the year and early in the day, so my memory could be clouded, but I feel like a Defender's 328. Am I wrong? So I don't know what the 324 is for. We're going to do it to 313. So indeed, the complaints may be correct that we're missing a link, I think. I can't. Is the panhard? We're gonna have to definitely, like, our panhard is gonna have to be something that we source, because I can't see either of these. We have, are they all different lengths? Yes, we have 3 different length shorty links here. These are very close. But this one, let me see if I can line it up. Yeah. This link is about a 0.5 millimeter shorter. And by that, I'm talking about measuring to the shoulder. I bet that their threaded portions are exactly the same. 33.8, 33.3, and this one's way down at 29. So we are definitely going to have to sort some links to get this thing put together all the way. I will need it, because if these are front lowers, and I think they are, yeah, those are definitely front lowers. We definitely don't need curved links. They need straight rod ends. I will go through the bags here. I'm not going to use these guys. I'm going to use the hollow balls, but I'm not going to use the links. Yeah, there's a lot of straight ones in here. Okay. Because you'll just wear through them. Like, especially here, that is way too exposed out in the open, and you will just rub the end of that off, and then you'll be driving and it will just pop through. So, if you're going into the kit, operate as if it didn't come with rod ends. The links will be fine. And I love that I have 4 extras I can put some high clearance on something. These will almost immediately go into service. So we're getting some extra pieces. It's confounding me. If anyone else has built this, what is this? What is this? The only place it looks like it fits. Does it fit this way? Is like that. That's the only way I can see it fitting. But I have no idea what that would do. The other stuff, no instructions expressed or implied. Like, there's only one way the gearbox fits. It has to go in that way. The Panhard only fits like, I mean, I guess you could flip it around and mount it on the inside if your steering drag link was particularly short. And we've got a little bit of a hill to climb because we're not using TRX4 axles. So the Panhard positioning is definitely going to be different. It's way out here. So just mocking that. Yeah, it's going to be pretty long. So maybe to the inside of the rail. I might have to flip that around because the drag link is going to be much shorter. Just eyeballing this into place. Let me clear a spot here. Sometimes it's easier to do it yourself. Yeah, the pumpkin on the AR-45 is a little bit offset driver. So offset to the left a little bit more than a TRX4 axle. Are we already going to eliminate the ability? So that is 26 millimeters, and that is almost 40. And for those curious, we've got the width of the chassis, and then we're just looking at the kingpins. So as we're mocking this up, what we want to do is we want to at least roughly, so kingpin to kingpin is 142. 142 kingpin to kingpin, roughly center to center. I don't expect it to get it within the millimeter, but we can get close. The width of the chassis rails themselves are appropriately TRX4. They are 77. And what did I say, 142? So 2365. So we want about 32 millimeters per side. We're gonna kind of come out in the middle there. Scrape some stuff out of the way. If this positions this pumpkin over too far, and it already looks like it does. Are we building a TRX4 all of a sudden? Oh, I feel like we're almost building a TRX4 because I don't know how to accurately show this. Basically, is that 32? Yeah. And on that side, yeah, that axle is centered under the chassis, and it would be great, and it would be a fantastic time to be alive. Here's the problem. That output shaft right here is pretty much dead in line with right here. So it's not aiming here, it's aiming there. And if we grab our, man, this thing is gonna need I think I've got a Vanquish still built. I don't even know if this one will be long enough. We are gonna need an absurdly long shaft to cover this distance. And the end on the Vanquish is too big to clear the TRX4 gearbox. We would have to grind the gearbox to get this to fit. Meanwhilst, TRX4 drive shafts. If I grab a TRX4 drive shaft, of which I have none that are properly assembled, that's just going to fit right in there. Yeah. So, Traxxas and Injora forming like Voltron to show us that our stuff is not going to fit. Well, now I don't know. We need longer for sure. So the TRX4 drive shaft is attached to this, and you have to machine some off of the pinion, back of the pinion, and you have to machine some off the face of the TRX4 shaft to get it to actually fit. It is right, are we at 32? Okay, we're over a little bit. We need to be right about there. We have got a millimeter of clearance between the motor mount and the side of the drive shaft, because I want to say that the TRX4 is over about there and just puts the drive shaft in a perfectly straight line. And rather than guess about it, we can do better. We can line it up with this absolutely grotesque. This is a TRX4 axle that I've been building for I don't know what. I was thinking maybe VFD gearbox with TRX4 portals, which is a horrific amount of gear reduction. I think the weights might be too much. I think we're at about 650 grams for this front axle. Maybe too much. Maybe too much. Yeah, it probably weighs 3 times what this weighs. So that whole sprung to unsprung, when is too much, we might be there. Yeah. It's almost as if this chassis was designed for a TRX4 Sport. I genuinely don't know how I managed to fit Capra axles under it when I built Skeeter, which was, it came from the Workbench 23, I want to say. I genuinely feel like I'm just gonna give up and I'm gonna give in, and we're gonna build an LCG TRX4. Man, it would be a grinding fight to get that together, and the motivation to do it is fairly low, because if I dig into the saved for later parts, there's a VFD on a Zoku skid, and there's some AR-44s. We can build a extremely low rent VRD. So we might just have to do that instead. I think I'm committed at this point. I wanted AR-45s under there for the Evil Twin, but so will this be an Evil Twin? There will be no parts of Rusty in it. I don't know what we're doing anymore, everybody. I'm taking my hat off. It's an LCG TRX4, I guess. I don't know. I'm gonna try to sort out the front links, and I need loud sounds. So, one moment, please. Some yeses and some nos. The assembly is exceptionally straightforward in the front, and I believe. Oh, my apologies. I believe they intend you to use the stock panhard and drag link just with a forward servo mount. And I think this because this panhard and drag link are very, very close to parallel. I think if I went with a little Traxxas 6mm ball on this one, it would pull them perfectly parallel. I have just regular straight link rod ends on there, and I have the offset here to kind of bring it straight. We have 2 millimeters of axle swing between full droop and full compression with no bump steer. The axle stubs rise. There's no wiggle at all. We just get a little bit of a swing over to this side. You can see it right there. Watch the base of this shock just move over. There are not enough lock nuts. I think the whole kit comes with 4. If there are more, I have misplaced them, but we have already used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've used 7 to this point, and it comes with 4. I am going to leave this motor in here for now, but it is not going to be what stays. We're going to take this and drive it once it is complete. It is. Oh, I took these off. It seemed excessive. I feel like this is going to be more than enough front weight already. I think I have a black diff cover. I'll just throw a black plastic diff cover on there. I think the final, I've got a Rhino V80 still sitting here waiting in a box, and the Holmes 2500, which I had mentioned in another video. I think those will be perfect for, because this is now full TRX4 and geared 1145 on a 1200. Pokey is the term I would use to describe what I think the overall speed is going to be. These were some of the aforementioned springs. These are 1.4 pound per inch. They feel okay. If anything, maybe a little stiff. We can go a little softer, but we'll see. I have no idea how much weight is going to go onto the top of it. This is really still bugging me a lot. Yeah. Look at the parallel this way. perfectly parallel. That is a stock TRX4 servo horn. Nothing is tightened down because I don't have the servo centered yet. Parallel this way, parallel, almost parallel this way. And actually, it is parallel this way. The horn has just slumped down. Parallel, 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 parallel. And with a 70 millimeter lower link. These are, we used our good buddy here. Lower links are 70 millimeters eye to eye, which at that length, that was the length I chose. And this is the amount of caster I wanted. And I'm using the rearmost hole on the chassis. I think they want you to use that hole or perhaps potentially that hole. As you can see, there's a little bit of an air gap there. I don't have that. So this link is an imperfect length for the way I set it up. I like a lot of caster, and if I can get my drag link and my panhard that parallel to each other with this much caster, I'm going to take it. So that is, I am loving the brass black carbon silver. It's the, aside from the brass, it's all the colors that cars come in nowadays. They're all either black or silver or white. It looks pretty great in the front. Yeah, I'm in the center hole on the V2 hubs. I think we're going to sit right about there for ride height. We will see. Spring choices, spring selections are, that's way further down the line. Now, what need be done? Whoa, that's still a heavy axle even after pulling that amount of weight off of it. This thing is going to have no weight. Oh, and assembled a cleaned up drive shaft, and it is the perfect. It's the perfect length. So, what? Oh yeah, did I say? So 70s. These are both 70s. This is 72, which is what leads me to believe that they wanted a different hole, pull it in a little tighter. But I'm not. So I have a little bit more kick down than I would ordinarily go for. I would ordinarily have that clocked a little bit. But that's a lot of caster. And if we can pull some more steering out of a TRX4 axle, we're going to do it. And 78, 78. These are the same link. Like they were made identically, and it shows. We've got full compression both sides. For those unaware, the TRX4 is not built for long travel. So it is built to have maybe a tire's worth, around 4 inches of flex, because the shafts that they use, these are not universals, these are CVDs. So do we have another type out? Well, I mean, we can just go with that, and we can go with a Vanquish. So obviously, if your drive shafts are universals, you can get 75 degrees, and they will actually rotate up past like 60 degrees. If we then go to something so this is also a CVD style, but you can see the size of the neck. This is a Vanquish shaft. That's about how much hang you can get on that. We're probably in the neighborhood of 45 degrees. The neck on the Traxxas is much larger, so you get about half the hang. So they are literally just not designed for droop. So if you're doing something to your TRX4 like this, and you want to get more extension, you want to throw 100 millimeter shocks on there or something, you're going to have to put a different drive shaft on there, a Vanquish, an Axial, after some cut to length off Amazon, something. If you want to retain the stock Traxxas drive shafts, and I'm 100% fine with that, because my bin of Traxxas drive shafts is more full than any other bin, because Traxxas designed the drive shaft in such a way that TRX4 drive shafts fit on TRX4s, and that's it. So this is a TRX4 gearbox and TRX4 axle, so obviously they fit. So I'm not worried about it. This is not like if this is a sit, that's our droop. That's our ride height. So this is an LCG conversion for a TRX4 because it is pulling everything down. Once of course, I mixed all the links together. Once I get the 313 links separated, I've got my official Traxxas ends. I should be throwing these away as soon as I punch right here. As soon as I punch the balls. As soon as I punch the balls, because I don't trust them. There's no reason to keep them. Rod ends are not that expensive in the grand scheme of things. I had also located in the bin 2 identical little high clearance ones, and I had genuinely thought about replacing these both with bendies. But the front end geometry is good enough that I don't want to futz. We're going to leave it like that. So everything is just kind of mocked up in the front now. Not a lot of bolts are tightened down. I can't even trying to fight past the torque of that servo. I get the feeling one of those chassis braces is going to have to go right there. Because with all that weight out on the end of a carbon nose and the 800 ounces this guy's going to throw, we're going to be twisting the front end around. It's going to be interesting, to say the least. Now, I need to assemble the rear links, and then once those are on, I've got the other set of shocks are ready. I had to put a little bit more of my 300 CST-ish in the fronts to get them evened up. We will get that guy put on there, and you know what? We might be... It's raining again. I'm not taking a half-done build out into the rain as much as you and I would like to do that. We will get to the point where this will be past roller. Like, we will be able to put power to this because I need to build 4 links, assemble a rear drive shaft, throw it on there. I can pop that receiver out, pair it to the radio that is for builds, and we can make this thing move. And I want to make it move just to show y'all's how slow a TRX4 on a 1200 with 1145 gearing is going to be. And it is going to be, this is going to be like a 1.5 mile an hour thing. Like, we should be able to hit full throttle right here on the bench. But, and I make this statement purely for my own, for defense against future prosecution, which is, it's lunchtime. If you're recounting the cuckoos, I'm going to go eat lunch. You won't even know. This is sitting here, and then the camera will do a transition, and then it will be sitting there. We'll probably grab what's nearby. We got some landmines mounted up. We'll slap it on these landmines to roll it around on the bench, and that's when you'll see. And for you, seconds will have passed. But for me, my stomach has been growling for the past hour. I hope the mic's not picking it up. The rain will be blocking it out, hopefully. So, I will see you in mere seconds. For me, probably a good hour will have passed, plus the fabrication, but probably 90 minutes. So, if I repeat myself almost immediately after this next transition, now you know why. All right, cats and kittens, the aforementioned hour, 90 minutes, has experienced some form of time dilation. We got to really just one spot. There was one sticky wicket. There goes some carbon fiber. I made these. I've got a picture on there probably right around now. I've been buying the spools, and I have to give credit where credit's due. Someone in the comments had said, you just put a shim in between where the locker mechanism goes, and then it's locked. You don't need to buy spools. So I made 2 of these, and while I was at it, I installed AMK overdrive and underdrive, which was like $12.99, something like that on Amazon. I'll look it up and find it for sure. But that was for a 1233 and a 1035. So this guy right here is at 20%, give or take. No one is ever really confident about the math of what the percentages are. So he is paired to the radio that all builds are paired to. This one, it's got 4 ID seeds going on it now. He will have his own radio, of course, for sure, at some point. But for now, here we go. Where did I run into issue? It was small to the point of almost insignificance. Again, much like another recent episode, what I need are more 45 tooth spurs. This one is also not a brand new one. If we just rotate it up, you can see there's a bunch of dog-eared teeth on there, and it's not perfectly round either. It's just not great. The problem I ran into was finding rear upper links. These are about 5 millimeters too long, and there was no configuration of lower links. I thought, oh well, maybe I got the wrong lowers on. Oh, there's no wheel nuts on this side of the vehicle. I thought maybe I put on the wrong lowers, right? Because, you know me, I just grabbed the bag, cut it open, and threw 2 high clearance links in the back. The high clearance links in the back are also not high clearance. Well, they are, but you have to turn them in, like they point in like elbows. Otherwise, you can see the clearance there. There's barely a hint of daylight coming through. And they would indeed bind. They don't now. But I just twisted them to the side, and it was, as they say, fixed. Nothing I could do could get that to the right length. These are about... So these are 100... No, I'm sorry. I rewind that. I kept setting it to 100, and 100 wasn't right. These are 98 eye to eye, and the lowers are 118 eye to eye. So I want to say this is 85. It's 83 or 85. And this is a 90. So it's exactly 5 millimeters too long. So I thought, I went into a spiral of self-doubt, and I thought, well, maybe it's just because I'm not using the rod ends that were included. I attempted to thread one onto here, and it stripped out immediately. Like, literally. Like, I went turn, 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 and then it was just free spinning. And I was like, well, I guess if I wanted to use the crappy ends, I should have pre-tapped them. So we just went with this. I think, like, probably an element end in on that inner would be more suitable, because they don't have that little hex shape. Everything went together great, aside from the upper link oddness, and I could not find a link to go to the more forward hole. I could only build a link to that. I would have had to fabricate links, and I was really trying to work with what I had on hand. While I was putting in the shims and installing the overdrive, underdrive, I found these in the bin. I have a matching pair. They must have been from Jenny's. So I feel like if I were a kid, I would be that one that if I saw a beehive, I would throw a rock at it. So I make some small effort to, like, keep Red Cat Ascent put off to the side. But these are axles from Jenny's, about $100 for the pair. Ignore the G2, the GRC G2 knuckles. Let's ignore that. So we've got $100. You can get a gearbox off Jenny's the same. You're looking at about between $140 and $150, depending for the gearboxes, for the gearbox and the 2 axles. If they're in stock, you can get a pack of drive shafts for like $11. So you're looking at about $160, $62 for the chassis. And then hardware, some shocks. Basically what I'm saying is, with the Flash Hobby servo, with the Fusion SE, what you're looking at right there is sub $400. Less than an RTR, including the wheels and tires. And if we had thrown Swamp Claws on it, go even lower. So I would not. What I wouldn't classify this as easy. I wouldn't say this is a kit. And even in terms of conversions, when you get into stuff like this, you're going to find sometimes there are just parts that don't want to fit, won't fit, whatever. But the links went to get. You could build this fairly inexpensively, and I'll go on record now, having driven it from over where the scale pad is over there to right here, about 4.5 feet. We already have something more capable than most RTR out there. That spinion and spur, but I mean, here's the deal. Let's see. Oh, all right, 1.5, 2 miles an hour, about what I expected. So, ooh, there's a bunch of stuff in the spur gear as well. Not bad for the morning and, yes, into the afternoon. I feel pretty positive about it. And also, I had plenty of time to think while I was tinkering, especially the front end. I put the overdrive gear in, and I didn't get it seated in the cup all the way, so this wouldn't fit. I was desperately trying not to disassemble the whole front end, and then I ended up having to disassemble the whole front end, and then I dropped one of these and couldn't find it for like 15 minutes. So now there's just a stock Traxxas one in there. I've come to the conclusion that there's there's a fixed amount of time that I can work on any one specific thing in one sitting. But I wanted to get this thing to the state where it's moving, and it is indeed moving. Somebody did some homework. I mean, this is over the length of a 540. We've got clearance against all the link. It just clears. Everything fits. Nothing hits anything else. The geometry is correct. One of the things I did indeed think about, a thought that I had in Technicolor, is, well, this certainly isn't the Evil Twin. The goal was this started out to build the Evil Twin, to put the J-Concepts K10 C10 pickup on it, and the AR-45s, and it be the evil counterpart to Rusty, because I was going to put more like blingy stuff on it. As soon as we put TRX4 axles, this is a TRX4 LCG Sport conversion in effect. I fabricated nothing. I did not make any parts. I had to fiddle with some links, and I supplied the rod ends, and the rest came out of bins. I think the front springs are very close. If they're over firm, they're the tiniest bit, and we'd have to see it on rocks to even know. But if it's not the Evil Twin, I can't see myself putting the C10 K10 on it. So, I started thinking, what have we got? What have we got? And I didn't want to just do a cab. And then I thought, well, we've got this was on Jelly Green very far back in the days. This was. We've got some hand-me-down parts. We've got parts transferred from one thing to another. We don't really honestly have anything that was bought specifically from the outset to build this. So I thought, it's still over here in a very, very dusty box. This goes way this goes way back. It was still in there. The Colonel Mustard has undergone some changes in his life. He began his life as an Axial SCX 10.3, the JLU, and then he was a Subaru Brat, and now he's bodied with an Ecto with an Injora skid forward that we had to do a lot of work to make a chassis mount and steering, unlike this, which just kind of popped together. So what was in that box? The original Colonel Mustard JLU. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to completely disassemble this body. Completely disassemble it. Because as you can see, my buddy painted this one. And He's a little heavy on the trigger. There's a lot of screws here. But everything unbolts from this. And I am going to unbolt everything from this and hit it with the brake fluid and try to clean it up as best I can and hope I don't craze the windows too much. And then we're going to repaint it, and then I'm going to build what the plan is here, like this mounted with the 10-3, the things up in the front. I might be able to just do pins and a plate and have this mount in the front the way that it originally did. And then for the back, there's like screws coming through the license plate thing, big old screws. Those seem unnaturally large. I will figure out some method to have it basically slip into the body mount in the back. I mean, look how that sits. I'm on board. So I'll suss out a bumper. Maybe we'll sit it up a little bit higher, right about like that. So then we don't have too much clearance issue. Then I can get some sort of little bumper in the front. I might have a 10-3. I might have the stock bumper that went to this thing when it was built. And then there we go. We have a JLU, but boy is it not a JLU. So here's what's going to happen. This is all I can do today. Ladies and gentlemen, I am frazzled from just like you drop a nut or a bolt or a screw and it just ha ha ha. Yeah. You start to you start to lose it, and I've started to lose it. So I am looking forward to this guy. It went together really well. I guess this is a semi-quick view of the Injora chassis for TRX4. I sure do like combining It Came From the Workbench installments with quick views. It's an imperfect kit, a conversion kit, but it's pretty close. It's pretty close. And the parts themselves, they all fit together. We just had some, like I said, it came with 4 lock nuts. 4. There's 4 lock nuts right here. And 2 more. There's 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You need at least a dozen. And they gave us 4. It gave us a bunch of chassis spacers. I think it gave me 4, and I used 1. I mean, I guess I might put one up here. I could also, this thing was drilled for its second mounting. I might just be able to get a mount to line up with that. And then I could, it's on the bottom of the radiator. I don't know. I'm going to figure out how to mount it. I am going to strip it. We're going to repaint it in some color or another. I think it has to be a patina. The fenders and the body are pretty well patinaed as they are. We're going to use whatever paint we've got here on hand. We're going to use whatever tires we've got here on hand. Honestly, its Ghost Ride will probably be in 2-mile-an-hour mode. Super Creeper Crawler mode. We'll see how that goes. But, I almost did that, almost memed myself. I backed right into the cabinet with the beadlocks in it. And I almost did the, All right. I'm getting punchy, is what it is. We're getting to the punchy phase. I don't want to scale it or anything yet. Element greens in the back, that's what I mounted, and it looks about right. The front looks about right. We're looking pretty level. Yeah, it looks good, and I don't want to say amazed, but I'm at the very least surprised. We definitely got some. That's more flex in the, well, is it? Is it? No, it's 4 inches. And it's 4 inches in the front. So I strapped the battery on that side because the motor is a little bit offset to this side. We'll see how that does. We'll make adjustments as necessary. But building rigs, man, really, it's not that hard. This wasn't too much of a puzzle box. It was a little bit of a puzzle box. But if I had had a sport sitting here and was putting this to it, probably would have gone a little bit more easily. Probably. I don't know. Anywho, we love to use all parts of the buffalo. We will reuse, repurpose. We will get it to work. We will get things to fit. 45 tooth Traxxas spurs are apparently the bane of my existence. We should get fair decent steering response out of it at the low speed. If you get it just synced up to the frames just right, you can see the difference in the front wheel speed versus the back wheel speed. I think we're right about where we want to be, about 20%. And I think it's definitely going to outgun the old 10.3 that the Colonel's JLU was on. But I don't know. We'll find out. We'll find out later. I am full rambling right now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, put them in the comments below. If you have anything to say, put them in the comments below. I thank you so much for joining me for this. It came from the Workbench Volume 30. It's sort of a bit of a switcheroo. I fear that I already named it. Because I was just telling my wife, like, my brain, I don't know how it works. I feel like, much like the Nero song, I'm forever in two minds. Like, there's the part of me that's in control, and then there's the part that's just over here. Finger guns, woo! That part over there, I was walking out to get the mail, and just out of nowhere, I said aloud to no one, "Ah, yes, Harbulary batteries."
That's nothing like what I just said.
And then I just started laughing. Right? Which is a semi-obscure reference. That was a couple days ago. About an hour ago, as I was dropping things, and you get to that point where you can't even be mad. You're just like, and then you're desperately trying to find the fastener that fits what you needed to fit. Just into my head, pub. I went.
Pull the lever, Kronk.
Pull the lever, Kronk. And I laughed. Like, I had a good laugh. A good laugh from that. So I fear that its name is already Kronk, because pull the lever, Kronk. I don't know. It came out of nowhere. But isn't he kind of a Kronk? Is he a little bit of a Kronk? He might be a Kronk. I don't know. It's weird, this without side skirts. He's not getting side skirts. We're going to get this body on here by hook or by crook. And I will see you in the next one. I managed to Midwest this outro to the moon. We'll see you in the next one. Maybe, hey, could be the first video of the new year. Who knows? Probably won't be. But episode 2 of Volume 30, the Switcheroo. I think that'll be the title. Switcheroo down at the bottom. I think I'll call it Switcheroo. We'll get this thing on a ghost ride, or the ghost ride might be this thing in mustard phase. Maybe I've still got some Motul around here. Maybe I can get the paint stripped off. We'll see how it goes. I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thanks for sticking with me on our long rambler. If you're watching it on New Year's Eve, Happy New Year, everybody. If you're watching it any other time, hey, how's it going? All right, I'll see you next time. I got to clean up the rest of the way. I'm done. I'm done with toy cars for today. I can't do any more. We will all collectively, as a group, see you next time.